Hello everyone. Today the topic for presentation is ALS. So it's a disease, neurological disease, and my teammates are Samir and Ajay. So this was the disease that doesn't have a lot of literature, doesn't have a cure, doesn't have any treatment, and we are trying to create a knowledge graph for it by doing literature reviews on related to this disease and other papers also. So, introduction is ALS is also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a neurological disease. So, once you are impacted with it, it causes some changes in the neurons, which gives us muscles weakness and severe physical disabilities. The reason for the disease is still unclear. ALS is linked to genetics and environmental factors, but still we are not sure what exactly caused it. Currently, we don't have cure for ALS treatment, and this project is mainly concerned about creating a knowledge graph so we can have as much as information possible for this particular disease. So let's move to another section, which is problem statement. So problem statement is like we have a problem we wanted to solve, and machine learning can help us, as we have seen that machine learning is very useful in biomedicine, and then the whole semester we have seen multiple use cases of it. Currently we don't have any knowledge graph dedicated to ALS, and using machine learning we are trying to create one. ALS knowledge graph can help us to understand the drugs, chemical and genes related to ALS. There were some challenges in creating knowledge graph as the lack of information about this domain and complex data and the extraction of the complex data. The main aim was to develop a knowledge graph which is focused for ALS. So we will see a flowchart of our proposed approach in the next slide. You can clearly see a proposed approach where we used PubMed as a data source. So PubData was actually used, which will extract data or mine data from PubMed. And once the data is extracted, we extracted the entity using PubData only, and we merged the entity into a one file. So entity can be any two text. So suppose run is an entity, running is another entity, but they have both have same meaning, but they have other forms. So just to, if we drop ing from running, they are same. So this particular process is called stemming. We use stemming to avoid duplication. Once the stemming was done, we have extracted the relationship between two entities, and that gave us the knowledge graph. So one we have subject, one we have object, and there is a age, which is the relationship between them. And this was the initial knowledge graph, which have some relevant and some irrelevant information, and the validation was done to filter out the relevant information, and then the final set was the refined ALS knowledge graph. So as we have seen in the proposed approach, this is the another section which has a part of that. So we have data collection, data cleaning and aggregation, data analysis, relationship extraction, construction of knowledge graph, and validation of knowledge graph. We will see them in detail in the next slides. So here we have slide for data collection. So what we did is we use PubData, which under the hood uses PubMed to get the articles out. So we created a query. The query is the combination of keywords. So suppose we wanted to get genes, drugs related to ALS. So we can write ALS intersection of drug intersection of gene, which will go to PubMed and search on the articles which have these keywords and get us the abstract of that article out. So we employ PubData to get us the entity. Now the focus was to get the drugs, genes and treatment related to ALS, and then also when we got the result we applied the filters. Like we have the time frame of 2013 to 2023. We selected a biomedical concept filter as genes and diseases only to refine the results more. And finally we got 300 articles in JSON format, and we downloaded these files for further processing. So once we have data in different JSON file, we move to data cleaning and aggregation. So in data cleaning process, we used a Python script which was responsible for reading all the JSON files and create a cumulative one CSV file which will have data from all the separate 300 files. So what we did is, while reading, we extracted the entities in key value pairs. So we have drug, gene, and disease entity, and abstract as well. So we extracted publication ID, general author, title, gene, drug, and disease, and we stored them as a CSV file. So now we have information for the entities. We went for stemming. So what we did is, we normalized the root words, and using the stemmer algorithm, partial stemmer algorithm, then the entities were normalized. So running and run became run. So once we have this, we went for little bit of data analysis. We created a bar chart, which we'll see in further slides too. Then again, we checked for the duplicate values. We removed the duplicate values, and then we saved it as a CSV. Next, we will see the data analysis part. So the next part is data analysis. As we discussed in the last part, we did data stemming. In stemming, we have got the keywords. We wanted to see which are the top 10 categories for genes, drug, and diseases. So top 10 entities. So we can use this information in knowledge graph validation. So what we did is, we used Panda for data manipulation. We did the CSV and then created a bar chart using matplotlib, and also we used a network X for creating network graphs too. So we have transformed the data a little bit, read the data, create the list objects for genes, and three different lists for genes, drugs, and diseases. So after cleaning and stemming, we created bar charts and plot the entity frequency on the bar charts. We will see in the next slides too. So by doing that, we found the top 10 entities in each categories, which is disease, genes, and drug. This is the bar chart. You can clearly see that top 10 entities for genes, and for top 10 entities for drugs, and top 10 entities for disease. You can see that the neurological disease has the most number of frequencies. So once we have entity with us, once we have this teamed entity with us, we can remove the duplicate values. We now created a unique set of entities, and using these entities, we have abstract of paper. We are using this abstract to get the relationship between those entities. So the next section is relationship extraction. So now we have entities, unique entities, and we wanted to find relationship between them, and we separately have abstract too. So abstract is a text, and we can go and see the text and find the relationship between them. So we used OpenIE, which uses machine learning to find the relationship between them. So the problem was, OpenIE can give us the relationship between two texts, but it will not be relevant for our project. To be relevant to it, we have to filter out the relationship which are between the subjects and object only. So that's what we wanted to do. So once we have the relationship given by OpenIE, we can create a knowledge graph using the matplotlib and the network X. So the output of OpenIE was subject, object, and the relationship between them. So it was a key value pair which we stored in a Python dictionary and used it to create the knowledge graph. So based on the relationship extracted, we had a triplet of subject, relation, and object, as I said, and we created a directed knowledge graph using the network X library. And once we create the knowledge graph, we can clearly see there are some values which is not relevant. There are some nodes and edges which are not relevant, so we removed some of them. Also, the knowledge graph was looking too cluttered. So, just to have a clear view, what we did is we selected some keywords and we used the information what we got in the bar charts to have exact entity which were important. And then using the validation, we ensured the accuracy and reliability of the knowledge graph. And we examine the each node and edges and their consistency. You can see a knowledge graph here. So there are nodes. So one is subject, one is object. So the arrow pointing towards is object, and the another node is the subject, and the line is the cause. So line is the relationship. So ALS cause death. So ALS is subject, death is object, and cause is the relationship between them. So that's how a knowledge graph looks. So you can clearly see there is a death here and everything is pointing to them. So many of the paper has this thing that the ALS caused death, and that's why it's too prominent in this knowledge graph. We have some specific keyword selected, which is like we selected the diseases and then the some other keywords. That's why the knowledge graph is shorter, but if we plot everything together it will be too cluttered to see the information. So we separated out a little bit. Now we have developed a algorithm to create a knowledge graph. Now we have validated the knowledge graph. Now we can move and see what the achievement are, what are the evolution of this project. So we successfully created a pipeline which will take the data from PubMed and create a knowledge graph for ALS disease. We transport the JSON data into a form needed to create a ALS knowledge graph. We employed OpenAI, Stanford OpenAI, to find relationship between the entities. We enhanced the dataset quality by doing cleaning, stimming, and exploring the data set for genes, drug, and disease. And we visualized the knowledge graph for complex relationship between ALS entities. So the conclusion of this project was we created a pipeline, we created a knowledge graph, utilized the OpenAI, and we established a robust framework for ALS research, contributing to neurodegenerative disease studies. So we also went for literature review for this particular problem, and these are some related works. So we explored the diet neurodegenerative disease, which is another research paper. We read other research papers too to find out what can be utilized from the previous research. So we analyzed the Alzheimer's disease, which is similar to ALS. We focuses on the identifying ALS and Parkinson's disease. We use deep learning for predicting ALS progression. We investigated the ALS progression patterns using longitudinal data to improve patients and clinical trials. So these were some papers we have went through to find related work for this particular problem. So these are our references. Any questions? Thank you.